Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rift Podcast Project. Today, we are joined by Paul.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well myself.
Cool.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, sure. And like we do so often on this podcast, we jump right into the topics. So, Paul, I just wanted to ask you about what you're doing during this whole COVID-19 pandemic. Sorry, and what's your day looking like?
So I think really an important thing right now is to set a routine for yourself. I think there's been a lot of talk about, you know, just how hard it is to set a routine, especially when we're not going to school every day and we don't have to wake up at a certain time. So, at the beginning of all this, when we got out of school in March, I really my sleep schedule kind of got messed up a little bit just because I didn't have that I don't want to say incentive, but it was a requirement. I had to get up by a certain time to get to school on time.
Yeah.
But yeah. And lately, however, though, I back when school was in session and things were happening regularly, I would put them on my Google Calendar. I've used Google Calendar a lot to schedule events and just to structure my day. I've been running for the past week just around my neighborhood safely, social distancing and everything. I have been working on some summer assignments.
Mhm.
I have been working on my college apps, and that's pretty much it. I mean, a quirk of right now is that I have 3 dogs and I'm home all the time, and so my dogs get to see us all the time. And it's it's gotten to the point where we go out of the house, they're so unused to us being out of the house every day, where they get extra jumpy when we come home just because we aren't normally out of the house.
Yeah. Yeah, I think having a routine is a good way to keep yourself more disciplined, or just to give yourself something familiar for yourself every day, especially in these crazy times.
Yeah.
All right, so guess with that, another big thing is that you're working about college, right?
Yeah.
College admissions. So you want to talk about sort of your experience or just the general stuff about that?
Yeah, sure. So I'm applying to 11 colleges and universities. 9 of those are on the common application, I think, which is open, by the way, for anyone listening. It opened August 1st, so feel free to log in and start the process. It's all there, and you can fill out the applications completely. But before the common application opened, the other 2 schools I'm applying to are Georgetown University and the United States Naval Academy, and they have their own separate admissions portals. So back in June, I think Georgetown, and each of those 2 schools kind of have a similar process where you fill out a preliminary application, and then they decide you're qualified to apply, and then they send you login information to their own portals, and then you go in and fill out the rest of the application. So in June, I did that for Georgetown, and then I got in the portal for that. Went ahead and I've done most of it. And then for the Naval Academy, they also had that. I did my preliminary application. So they have a summer program for seniors that doubles as your preliminary application. When you apply to the summer program, it's called Summer Seminar. You are technically applying to the institution as well. So I applied back in January when it opened, and then they turned around their actual online admissions portal also in June, I think later in June. And so I've been working on that too. And then for the Common App, like I said, 9 schools. I will say, excuse me, that the Common App, it doesn't take that much work per school, really. I would say a lot of the work, and really this is for any college you'll apply to, it's a lot about getting your letters of recommendation. Email those teachers now. Email them early.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's something I've learned. Like I haven't always been good at getting letters of recommendation. Like I remember I applied for something sophomore year, and I tried to get a recommendation the day before that thing was due.
Oh
And
really?
yeah, I mean, and even though it ended up working out, I still what I learned from that was do not go and try to get someone to write you a letter the day before. That's just not a good rule.
It's yeah, because it's not really considered to them at their time, and also it risks stuff for you as well if they are not able to do it in time. Yeah.
Right. It's just kind of a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
And oh, sorry.
So, yep.
And then yeah, so like a lot of the work is adding your counselor. I mean, of course, I think it depends a lot on the size of your school and like the size of your class and the way that counselors are set up. But obviously, for things like the mid-year report, if you're applying regular decision, I think you have to have like your first semester transcript added in later on when that's done. Obviously, that's going to take a lot longer than say like doing the questions or writing an essay because you have to wait. There's not a time that you can get that done early.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so right now on the Georgetown app, I am just waiting on my letters, and then I'm waiting on my counselor report. For the Naval Academy, I still have to write some essays for them, and then they have they have a physical fitness assessment, or the official name is the Candidate Fitness Assessment, the CFA. So I have to go in and do that, and the Naval Academy is its own complicated process, and you have to go through a lot of different places for that. I'm still working on that. But then for the Common App, I it's really just getting around to the writing supplements. A lot of my schools on the Common App have writing supplements, so I have to chip away at those each day just to try to write something, and then of course get it proofread, and then just put it in. And yeah, that's where I am right now.
All right. Well, that's good. Just like working on the supplements. A lot of people like the delay on those because Common App like has like its own like essay which a lot of people focus on, especially during the summer, and a lot of people push on those like supplements till later. So it's always good to start working on those
Yeah,
as soon as
I
possible.
oh sorry. I will say about the Common Application essay, it's write about something. This is a tip for anyone listening. Just write about something that you like. Because what happened to me was I picked one prompt and I did like that prompt, but then I ended up writing 1,200 words, and I just couldn't save that essay. It was
Oh,
just it was it was too far gone, I should say. Just I would have had to change it so drastically. It would have been too much work. Uh,
yeah.
but I picked another prompt that I liked, and then and then I wrote that, and I think it came out to 1,000 words still, and I still had to make a bunch of cuts, but I did get that one below the word count. Um, but don't, well, I don't want to. Let me try to.
You don't want to discourage people from writing about what they truly want to, but try
Yeah,
to like have a plan sort of on what you want to structure your essay with.
right. Sorry, what I was trying to say was like
Oh, my
try not.
apologies. Yeah.
Oh, you're no, you're fine. You're fine. You're what you should try to do is not get in the mindset of like, oh well, what does this college like want me to say in this essay? Because it I just feel like that doesn't turn out well because you're gonna write to what you think someone else wants you to say. That may not be what they actually want you to say. And I think
Yeah.
just being honest, writing about something that you enjoy, that's always a good way to go, really.
Mm-hmm. Because what colleges want to, they don't want you to write about what you think they want. They want you to write about what you truly want to write about. So, because
Right, it's absolutely right.
that's where our best work comes from.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really it's really about, can you write, and that, I don't know, that, and it's really just like, can you write an essay? That's what they want to know. But I mean, it obviously, and that helps too, if you choose something you like, if you choose a prompt that you can write something that's really, maybe, that you think is fun, that you really enjoy. Again, writing is going to come very naturally to you, and it's not going to be hard to write 650 words, which really isn't that much in the grand scheme of things, about something you truly enjoy.
For sure. All right. Well, what else can we talk about with the college admissions? We talked about Common App.
Quick tip. Sorry, I just thought of this. But there, if anybody doesn't know, especially people in Virginia who are applying to Virginia Tech, Virginia Tech got on the Common App this year. They finally switched from only being on the Coalition app. That should be very helpful, given that, I know I was thinking about, I had to go in and create a Coalition app account because I was applying, or I am applying to Virginia Tech, but they did go over on the Common App, so just a heads up.
Yeah, we don't scrutinize between Common App and Coalition App. It's just that personal preference that Paul is,
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can talk about the importance of knowing the colleges that you're applying to, because I feel like, especially now, there's a lot of push of applying to what's ranked the best or what's rated the best.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, sure, we can. Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of a bad example here, because 6 of the schools on my list are Ivy Leagues. I am applying to, well, I don't know. Do you think I should run down the whole list? I mean, I don't think I need to run down the whole
I don't
list.
think you need to run down your whole list.
Okay.
It's mainly just that, and I'm sure the Ivy Leagues are great colleges, but for some people, they might just not be the type of college someone would enjoy. And the problem with that is that, yes, the college you're attending to is a premier college and it's a great college. But if you're truly not enjoying yourself and you're not feeling like motivating yourself while in that college, you're going to get less out of that premier college than if you were to go down like a peg or something and go to a college that you enjoy or you thrive in.
Yeah, and let me just say something. There is nothing wrong with state schools. There is nothing wrong with applying to the University of Virginia. There's nothing wrong with applying to Virginia Tech, and there's nothing wrong with going to those schools. Those are excellent schools. So if if you visit, or I should say, if you did visit, because I don't know if they're doing visits anymore, in person at least. If you visited a state school, or if you visited maybe just a college close to where you live, and you want to go there, that's absolutely fine. College. I feel like, and Samir, I feel like this is really like our generation's pressure. It's to, always reach for the Ivies, always try to get in with the best schools. But it's not always about that. And I think one thing I've been thinking about is, when you get out into the job market, sure, if you go to Princeton, you may have great connections, but a degree from UVA is still a degree from UVA. A degree is not worth less because you went to one school over the other, and I think that's more people need to be saying that to combat that perception.
Yeah, and obviously we're not against any the Ivy Leagues. They're incredible schools. Anyone would be extremely appreciative to go to an Ivy League. If you are accepting an Ivy League and you really want to go to that Ivy League, you're going to do well at that school. So we have nothing against that. We have nothing against any other schools we mentioned. We're just merely discussing this topic that's been affecting our generation a lot.
Yeah, and I think you might have seen in the news. I think it was last spring. I don't know if I can bring this up. The college admissions scandal, where it's Lori Loughlin and all of them. Do you think I
Yeah.
should stay away from that?
Well, I think it's like that just shows the amount of stress and stuff that a lot of pressure that people are having, and yeah, I think we can leave it at that.
Yeah,
Uh,
and that's yeah,
yeah, but also like make sure you do like even if you can do in-person visits, virtual visits, or it's helpful to understand colleges. Look at them, research them, see if they're a good fit for you, see if their academics have good programs for you, that sort of thing.
yeah. And I think one thing that I've recently done is I actually added a college to my list because um, my I knew somebody, or I know someone who was an alumnus of that institution, and so I just emailed him and asked him some questions about the college, and he responded back, and I liked what he had to say about that college, so I added it to my list. And I think if you know someone who attended a college or university, you should really talk to them right now because um, they can give you advice on what life is really like there that a virtual visit may not necessarily show you as well as an in-person visit will.
Yeah. Um, hmm. What else to talk about?
Should we
Oh,
explain like early action versus early decision, all
that
that?
would be, yeah, we can explain that. Can you
Yeah,
take the lead on that?
yeah. So I know it's confusing. College admissions is very confusing. Let me just say that. I think Samir, you can agree with me on that. It's kind of a maze sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for those of you who may not know, early decision is um,
Usually, so I feel like some
yeah,
colleges they're explaining, like they swap it. I think I've noticed, but yeah, you can explain what early decision usually is.
yeah. Early decision is usually like your applications due earlier. Like for a lot of regular decision deadlines, they're like January 1st of like a given year, or they're like January 5th. Um, Early decision usually that's going to be due in November. And the thing about early decision is you have theoretically more chances to like have your application reviewed by like a given school's committee,
Yeah.
but you can only select early decision for one college because by applying early decision you are legally bound to attend that institution if you are accepted. So you can only do one, or else if you applied and got into two schools early decision, you could like have like a legal like nightmare and trying to figure out which counts over which. So another option is early action, where it kind of has I think early action also has that earlier deadline, but
Yeah.
it's non-binding. Although like some schools try to do like restrictive early action, and so they kind of make it more like early decision. Early action, you still have more chances to have your application up for review, but you are not legally obligated to attend that school if you get in. So
Mm-hmm.
it offers you more choice. But not every school does early action though. The early decision versus regular decision is pretty standard. But if you like a school, but maybe like some other schools enough that you don't want to sign that you're going to attend one school, you could apply early action. And then regular decision, of course, you apply, and then you see whether you get in, and then you choose whether to attend.
Yeah. Um. Okay. No, well, I guess like make sure you focus in school, get good grades. Always a nice thing to do.
Right.
Because
Do you think we should mention like the SATs and test optional stuff?
I guess like SAT. Well, now I guess a lot of colleges are test optional.
Yeah. I know there are some schools which may not go test optional. I mean, like, okay, so for example, I'm applying to the Naval Academy, and they are, it, because of the unique demands of the Naval Academy, they really want to make sure they have an emphasis on preparedness, physical preparedness with the candidate fitness assessment, and then academic preparedness. So if you're applying to a service academy, and that just FYI includes the Air Force Academy, Merchant Marine Academy, West Point, the Military Academy, and the Coast Guard Academy, they are not test optional to my knowledge. They may not go test optional. Although a lot of Ivy Leagues I think are going test optional.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it's pretty common for you would have to know which schools aren't test optional, I think, because most of them are moving in that direction, I think.
Yeah.
But as far as taking the SAT goes, again, I think it would be good to say, like, if you do not feel safe going to take the SAT, obviously I think that should be the priority. Like, yes, it's the SAT. It has traditionally been important in college admissions, but I think please stay safe. If you can't take the SAT, you can't take the SAT, and that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, with that, I think we can segue into our final topic. So
Okay.
I think what we like to do occasionally is throw in just a random topic. So this has nothing to do with the college admissions, but my question is, do you watch Netflix?
Yes, a lot more since we've gotten out of school, I'll say.
So what's been your favorite movie or show on Netflix that you've been watching recently?
I don't know.
Or you can like name your like three favorite, top three.
I think about that. Um, I will say I've been watching Queer Eye. That show's just really positive and uplifting. Highly recommend. That's like comfort TV. It's like HGTV. It just like it's feel good TV. It's always a good watch. Um, and I think there are like 4 or 5 seasons on Netflix. Go watch it. It's a great show. It's fantastic. Um, let's see another thing. Um, this isn't a Netflix original, but it is up there. It's a show. Well, hold on. Actually, let me not go there, because it's a political show. Let me respect the boundaries. Um, hmm.
Oh, they don't all have to be Netflix originals, by the way. It can be like one of my favorite shows right now has been Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I know is like a big hype thing, but I watched the show when I was younger, and watching it again recently, it's been a very good experience because it's such a good show.
I did not have cable growing up, so I like I my sister's been watching Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix, and so I just kind of seen bits and pieces of it while I've been working. But uh, yeah, so unfortunately, I don't know whether that's a good show or not. I haven't really watched it. I don't know.
I
Would
would
you
recommend
recommend
it.
that show?
I would
Okay,
absolutely recommend it. It's so
okay,
and like
all right.
even though it was kind of directed towards younger people, anyone of any age can watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's not just for kids. I mean, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the best way to put it, I think. Um, let's see, what
Um,
else have I been watching on Netflix? I'm trying to think because, like,
well, some shows that I've been watching is that I've been watching some of the superhero CW shows like Arrow and The Flash, And if you, listener, if you are interested in learning about like my personal opinions and stuff about like the Arrow, the Flash, those sort of superhero shows, go check out Dissecting the CW Superhero Division. Great episode. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I talk about it with Jake, who's another passionate viewer of those shows.
Yeah. I have watched both of those shows, but in passing, sort of. That was a few years ago, I think, when I watched them. I would have to look up shows on Netflix to remember like what I've watched. Hold on.
I think I can continue with like I've been watching. Well, I haven't been watching it on Netflix, but Agents of Shield is another big show I enjoy. I've been watching the final season. I believe the season's over now, but final season of Agents of Shield over now. So yeah, that was quite emotional. But yeah, it's a good show, and I've been watching it for a while.
Okay, so The Umbrella Academy. I don't know if you've watched that, Samir, but that's a good show. I like it a lot. It's here. Let me try to give like a synopsis without spoilers. But it's essentially a group of siblings who all have like a different supernatural power, and they try to, in the first season they try to stop the end of the world, um, and in the second season they try to do it again, but like they time travel back to the 1960s in Dallas. Really interesting. The characters are, the main cast especially, they're very good actors, and they're very well written characters.
All right.
I do recommend that. Um, that was a recent watch during the pandemic. Like I watched Queer Eye before we all kind of went into lockdown. Um, Another show is Stranger Things. I mean, that of course that show has been on Netflix for a few years, and it had its own cultural moment where like everyone was watching it. But 3 seasons, and it I don't know, if you do not know what Stranger Things is, it's also sort of like a supernatural vibe to it, but it's in the 80s in a small town in Indiana. It's like season 1 is in 1983, I think. Season 2 is in 84, and then season 3 is in 85. Um, Good cast, good story. It's interesting, and it has like a bunch of cool like 80s sci-fi callbacks without like you just like being confused and not knowing. It never gets too like esoteric where you don't know what's going on. It's a good show. Although it is scary, so if you don't like watching horror, like I don't really like horror movies, but Stranger Things was on the better side, but it is scary in some parts, so you want to keep that in mind.
Sure. Any other shows? Oh, well, one thing I watched Scooby Doo recently, which was a very fun blast from the past.
Which Scooby Doo? Because I feel like there have been like
There's
a million
so many.
Scooby Doos.
I watched I forget which one. I think there's different types on Netflix. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember the exact name because they're all like Scooby Doo. They have like
It's like and something, right?
yeah. I watched What's New Scooby Doo.
Oh, okay.
That was
I
from
don't think I've seen
'05. That was from 2005.
that. Okay. Oh yeah. Ah yes, the 2000s.
Yes.
Different time.
I remember watching Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated a bit. I think that's also on Netflix. That was
Wait,
it was kind of like the similar style, but I think it was more teenage like, I want to say. I'm not sure. If I
was
can
that a live action one or an animated one?
That was the animated one. They made like
Okay.
2 live action Scooby Doo movies, right?
Yeah, I think they made one in like the late 90s or like right around 2000. Uh, and I want to say they either like made another one in the 80s or they made it like just a few years ago. I don't know.
Well, there's the Scooby Doo movie from 2002.
Okay, that I think that might be one of the live action ones.
Yeah, that's the live action one. They made a recent Scooby Doo movie, right? It's like Scoob.
Yeah, I think I remember like seeing ads about that because it was like it was like Doritos ads, and it was like, oh, like, it had the animated Scooby Doo in the ad, and it was like, get Doritos to promote the new Scoob movie.
Oh, that looked fun. Scooby Doo's like such a huge franchise. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's vintage. I was gonna say old, but that would sound kind of mean. Like, I mean that in a good way though. Like, it's been around for a while. Like Star Trek.
Yeah.
And
Um.
I say that with the credibility of someone who has never actually watched an episode of Star Trek. Just just knowing the time.
This like what are they? They have like a Scooby Doo and Batman thing. They had like a Scooby Doo and Kiss.
I feel like they did have a Scooby Doo and Batman thing. I think I remember that.
Yeah. Um. I think they even had like a WrestleMania one.
I don't know. The Yeah. I will say, on Netflix, The Crown is good. That's the show about Queen Elizabeth II's reign in the United Kingdom. Um, I think season one's in the 50s, or season one is her coronation, which was in 1950 to 53. Um, I have a friend who's really into like British stuff. He really likes that show. It has a good cast and it's interesting.
All
So
right.
that's a good watch.
Well, with that, I think another great thing for you to watch or listen is the Rift Podcast Project. And while we wrap up for this episode, just want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Paul, for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And everyone, make sure to, follow us on social media at Instagram at the Rift Podcast Project and on Twitter at Podcast Rift. Check out one of the other episodes we've had with some amazing people. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.